Heavy metal rock.
Global mind.
I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on My Global Mind, we are speaking with Bruno Ravel of the Defiants for the release of their third album, Drive, due out on June 9th. Bruno, welcome and thank you for taking the time.
Hey, my pleasure. Good to talk to you, Robert.
Yeah, we spoke for the last album, and I'm always been a big Danger fan, so it's really exciting to always chat with you.
Oh, man, that's great, man. Cool.
I was there from the beginning with Danger, so...
So was I.
Awesome. You know, the Drive is another brilliant release by the Defiants. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, man. It was, a long time coming, and we were able to get it done, and I'm glad it's in the rear view mirror as far as the recording and writing. So it was a tough one.
You know, I have to wonder, what was the wait for the almost 4 years from the last release?
Well, I mean, of course, there was this little thing that happened called the pandemic. I'm sure that everybody you interview that's releasing a record says something about the pandemic. So
True.
Things were going on in life, and when the pandemic hit, I thought to myself that it'd be a perfect time to start writing and getting a record together, because there's really nothing else that we could do. So that's when we started the process. And Paul and I and Rob, we always kind of just let things happen. We don't like to have time limits and stuff like that, because we're really just doing this for artistic reasons and more for the fans. So we like to take our time and make sure that the songs and the recording is right before we put out anything. And Frontiers was gracious enough to allow us to do that.
Very cool. I'm from New Jersey. You're from New Jersey. Where are the other guys from, and how does it all come together?
I'm from New York, live in New Jersey. Rob is how did the three of us get together, you talking about?
Yeah, how do you get together for the recording of the album?
Oh, it's all remote. I mean, we've been doing this where, I'm not a big proponent of remote recording. However, it is very convenient. And the fact that, everyone, even people that don't really know how to run a recording studio, can literally sit in their bedroom and record something into a laptop is very convenient. And so, as far as like Paul and myself, we both run studios, so we're pretty well versed on how to get this done. But as far as Rob is concerned, the first two records, I'm not sure how we actually. I had to like kind of walk him through how to record his guitar, the direct signal, so that I could take the direct signal here and reamp it, through amplifiers and stuff to get his sound. Yeah. But on this one, we set him up with a nice MacBook Pro and an interface, and he kind of got the hang of it, and he was able to record all of his guitars like that, and just send them in Dropbox, and boom, it's done.
He's a quick study.
Yeah, he's not a quick study, that's for sure, but with a lot of yelling from me, and he got it together. No, I didn't yell at him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he got it together. And I mean, look, it sucks because, in the old days, it's nice to be able to look in a room and look at each other and vibe off each other. But we kind of, at least myself, I come from the Mutt Lange school of recording, where everything is done as well as you could do and as perfect as you can do it. So computers actually end up helping me.
That's good.
Especially as I get older, and maybe if I can't like nail a part that I really like, I can fix it. So, all of this technology is actually helping us to make records a lot easier.
Well, that's great. What I love the most about the Defiants is the band's ability to write very catchy and approachable pop-oriented rock songs but there's this underlying energy that's kind of gritty and something what you would expect from a hard rock band. Are you always trying to find new ways to marry pop and rock into your songwriting?
Well, I mean, that's funny that you mentioned that because that is really my MO personally, because even in Danger, I was always the one trying to bring the grit, yet trying to keep the pop melody, the pop sensibility, but with attitude. And so, with Steve West and myself, in Danger, with the writing, he was always leaning more towards getting really sappy, and I was always leaning more on almost on the hard rock metal side, because I like all kinds of music. I mean, I love a good melody, but I also like the aggression. So, the two of us in Danger would always be kind of like, riding that fine line between being too sappy or being too heavy. And in Defiance, since of course there are ties with Paul and Danger, and we share the same kind of outlook and same kind of songwriting approach as far as this kind of music, we kind of don't really have a problem with it, because we both know that if there's no sense regardless of what genre it is, or whether it's heavy or whether it's pop or metal or whatever. I think the song has to be memorable on first listen, at least somewhat. So if you don't get there, then just throw the song away and start over. So that's kind of always what we go for. We go for a hook, and we also go for aggression. So I think the Defiance is the perfect marrying of the two.
I would agree. I love songs with melody too. That's what, attracted me to Danger. I love the Defiance. I was speaking with Josh Todd the other day from Buck Cherry, and he said something that kind of surprised me. And I was wondering what your take on it was. He says he listens to a lot of pop songs, the Taylor Swifts, everything, because that's how he learns how to write memorable hooks with songs. And I was wondering, do you have the same approach to listening to a lot of pop?
Well, I've always listened to pop music. I mean, even the stuff that, when I was a kid, there was the Cheap Tricks and the Rick Springfields and the Lover Boys and the Survivors, and that was kind of like your, my version of pop music growing up. And I do still listen to, it's getting harder actually to listen to music today, because I don't know, it's just kind of the whole style of it, and the the 2 minute TikTok songs and all of that, it's kind of getting away from me, as far as like just being able to like relate to it. But yes, I love melodies, and I studied that kind of thing, the Max Martin songwriting school and all of that. When it all started. And of course, there are things that you hear, whether it be a song from today or even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, where you kind of remember great melodies and structure as well. Like, oh wow, they only did a half a verse going into the second chorus, that kind of thing. If you're a student of pop music like I am, you kind of pay attention to these things, and then you store them away in your mind for when you have to get to writing. So yeah.
I remember when we last spoke, you talked about how Toto, you wanted to be a hard rock heavy metal version of Toto, and
it was Survivor.
Survivor. Okay, I thought you said Toto. I apologize. Yeah.
Toto too. I love Toto. Yeah. Steve and I always never understood why Survivor wasn't like a big band, and when we kind of looked at them, we said, well, we understand, because they, at the time, the image was very, very important. And, nothing against the guys in Survivor, but they weren't like the greatest looking guys,
Right.
So, sorry, I have to mute that. Okay. So we always kind of said, wow, if Survivor looked like Bon Jovi, or if Survivor looked like whoever, great looking band, you insert here, right? They would have been a lot bigger. So we always said, well, that's what, when we were forming Danger, we were like, we got to get guys that look great, and we have to write songs that are catchy. So we figured if we had the two, we couldn't miss. Yeah.
That was great. Yeah. In this album too, there's a very strong energy, very reminiscent of the first two albums. From a creative point of view, what do you enjoy about making music and songwriting? What's your favorite aspect of it?
Well, there's a bunch of things, but I think the main reason is just like when you happen to stumble on something good, you get this feeling inside, and I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like an excitement. It's just an instinct knowing that you have something, you know? So
Mhm.
whether it be, I could be like, getting ready to go to bed, and all of a sudden I'm watching television and some melody pops into my head, or I'm in the car and something strikes me and I have to pull over and grab my phone and sing it into my iPhone so I don't forget it because that happens a lot. But
Yes.
when that happens, I almost get like, warm and fuzzy, and I know that I have something, and so that is really, to me, a barometer. And I think Paul would feel the same way. So when I have something, I have to like immediately go run into the studio and throw down a demo real quick so that I capture it. So
That's
yeah.
great. That's great. Lyrically, the songs capture a spirit of great times, great memories of a well-spent youth. Tell me about capturing that magic in a song, because that's not easy to do.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I mean, I could only speak to the part that that I contribute, which is I'm mainly not a lyricist. However, I do come up with lyrics for, ideas and choruses mainly that I'm actually a lazy lyricist. I It's really the hardest thing for me to do because I'm very critical. Yeah, just ask Paul how many times I scrutinize, if he comes up with a bad lyric. I always say, I don't like that line, you could do better, and then he gets mad at me and all of that. But I'm like lazy when it comes to that. So that's why I like to pair up with guys that are good at it, Steve and Paul as well. So, but as far as like on the Defiance, I'll come up with an idea and I'll have the whole chorus, lyrics and melodies written, and I kind of go, okay, this is good, or we could work on the third line, or the fourth line isn't great, and I just kind of hand it over to Paul and I ask him to fill in the blanks on certain songs. And then there are other songs where I just don't come up with I'll come up with a melody, I won't come up with a lyric, and I'll hand it over to Paul, and if he comes up with a lyric that we both think is cool, then we continue. So as far as like the inspiration for where the lyrics come from, it all stems from maybe writing something that you haven't heard a million times. I mean, I know that stylistically the Defiance isn't anything new, but I try, at least. I don't know if I'm successful, but I try to come up with themes and titles and stuff like that that I haven't heard a million times. And so once I get that and I'm happy with that, for instance, like a song like "Go Big or Go Home," like
Yes.
I thought that was a great title. I hear that all the time in movies and on television and sporting events, all of that. And so when I heard that, I was like, I don't think there's been a song called "Go Big or Go Home." That's a great theme for a song. So stuff like that. And as far as like Paul tends to, he tends to write, because he knows that he's writing for, certain genre. And again, we're all writing about days gone by and stuff like that. So we keep it simple: aggression, love lost, days gone by, those kind of topics. We don't like to get too deep with lyrics. I mean, occasionally we do, and we usually leave those songs off the record. There was one song that we left off the record that I kind of like wrote a verse for, and I was really depressed. And so like I wrote this verse and sent it to Paul, and he loved it. And we finished the song, and I kind of like, we were both like, I don't know if this is something we want to throw on a Defiance record, because it was a little depressing. So
Yeah.
so we kind of just try and keep it light.
Well, that's interesting that there's a theme going through that, and we're not going to hear anything depressing, songs to slit your wrist to. So that's good news.
Like, you just have to turn on the news for that. So
Yeah, right. I want to escape from that.
you don't really need a Defiance record to give you that.
I never asked you, but you're most notably known for playing bass. I have to imagine you also play guitar, that you're coming up with these riffs and these melodies and these ideas, right?
Yeah, I mean, I play most of the guitars on these records.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I don't play the leads, of course, or anything that's really intricate. I leave that for Rob. But we have a way of recording where in the beginning, I would say, okay, well, I'm just going to come up with the idea and then I'm going to let Rob do his thing, right?
Right.
But if you ask anybody that's worked with me, I'm kind of like an asshole about it, because when I have a certain idea or something in my head, I need it to be played exactly the way that I hear it. And I can be a tyrant a little bit and a little bit of an asshole when it comes to that. And it's gotten me into trouble in the past with other guitar players that I work with. But so as far as Rob is concerned, he's very easy. And so I would, like, for instance, say, hey, play it like this. And I'd play, give him an example. And then he'd play it back to me. And it would literally be the same thing. However, it just wouldn't have the same approach that I approach the guitar to. So
Yeah.
I'm not a great guitar player. I'm a decent rhythm guitarist and bass player. And I could play a couple of things if I really practice and try my best. But so a lot of the times it's a lot easier for me to just lay down the rhythms. And then if there's something that I can't do, I say, Rob, I can't play this good. Can you play this great for me? And of course he does it in 2 seconds, because he's like, in another league when it comes to
Right.
guitar. So yeah, so I mainly play, I play most of the guitars on the Defiants records, except for, again, if you hear anything intricate, it's not me. So
So
that's,
is it
yeah.
safe to say there's rhythm? You're doing the rhythm and then, Rob is doing above you?
Well, basically, like on an average Defiance song, it'll be me playing all the rhythm guitars, all the clean guitars, and then Rob will play the solo and any kind of licks that you hear coming in and out, like lead guitar.
Wow.
And then also, again, if there's like a lick that you hear that's like a fast lick or something very intricate, it has to be very intricate. Because if it's not, then it's easier for me to just deal with here. By the time I get him on the phone, explain to him what I want, articulate it so that he understands, then he has to try it, then he has to get back to me, then he has to send me what it is, then I don't like it, and I tell him to do it again, blah, blah, blah. So much time that goes by, I could just do it myself. So again, it's not an ego thing with me. It's really not. It's just, a way of expediting what we need to get done.
Oh, that's
So
fascinating. I didn't know that about the albums. Is that across all 3 albums?
yes, of course, across all 3 records. It says it in the liner notes. I just don't like to. I don't like to. I don't want to be. I'm not a bragger again, so I'm not like, hey, I played everything on the record, blah blah blah. I don't like to do that. So
Okay.
I just basically say that I played some guitars and Rob played some guitars, and it's up to the listener to figure out what I did and what he did.
Oh,
That
that's
kind of,
really interesting.
yeah.
Last album had Steve West of Danger Danger playing drums. He was not part of this album. Can you talk a little bit about that approach?
Oh, sure. On the first record, we had Romaine, who played the drums, who lives very close to me. Has again, is self-contained, has a studio in his house, drum kit set up in his house. I just had to, literally call him up and say, "Is your kit mic'd up?" So it was very easy. And on Zokusho, when it came time to recording the record, I couldn't nail down a schedule with him. And because he was always on tour, be it with Enrique Iglesias or somebody else huge, he's always constantly on tour. So Steve West actually bailed me out. I actually didn't want Steve to be included in the Defiants, only because of the whole Danger Danger thing. I knew that bringing Steve in would draw a lot of attention to the Danger Danger nostalgia, and I really, Paul and I especially, really wanted to keep this separate, even though we know we can't. But
Yeah.
we wanted to, it's, again, this is the reason that the Defiance started was mainly because, for 2 reasons. One, I love Paul and we work great together. 2, Frontiers wanted Paul to work with me and wanted me to work with him. So that was the second thing. But the main thing was that I love to create and write and record and mix and produce and all of that. It's my main thing. Like, I actually prefer it way more than performing and touring.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. I like performing and touring. Again, I loved it when I was younger, but now that I'm older, it's really kind of a pain in the ass. The
I
whole
agree.
thing, just doing everything by yourself and not having help. I mean, it's really not easy to tour when you get older. Just ask anybody that's around my age. So so there's that. So getting back to the question, I need to create. So I wanted to pair up with a singer or a songwriter and, you know, keep making records. And so this opportunity came up with Paul and Frontiers and the Defiants, and I jumped at it. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So, but we really wanted to just kind of, we knew there were going to be ties to Danger Danger, and we knew that the music was going to have that same kind of feeling that Danger Danger has, you know.
Right.
And so we wanted to keep it a little bit, as much as we could, separate. But on Zokusho, you know, I didn't want to start working with a drummer that I didn't know, I wasn't familiar with, I couldn't be myself around. I didn't want it to be an uncomfortable thing. So luckily, Steve was able to join and you know, did a great job and killed it on Zokusho. Now, fast forward to recording Drive, Van was around, and so again, you know, it's just a lot easier for me to get stuff done with Van because he's you know, an incredible studio musician. He can write charts out. I mean, it's like, you know, he's like one of those guys in Nashville that you know, you go up and say, hey, play this, and it's like boom, done in 2 seconds. So it was just a natural thing for me to go back and for us to go back rather and work with Van.
God, that's a great response. I don't disagree with you about touring. I don't even like going on vacation with the plane travel and the hotels.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
My wife is a big traveler. She's like, oh, we should go here. I was like, if you could teleport me there, I'm in. But you know, to sit on a plane in the airport, I hate it.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I said, can't we just go down to the Jersey Shore for a couple of days? You know, that's kind of cool. You know, she's like, no, I want to go here
for a couple of hours. Yes.
Then I could come home and I could have my toys and I'm back to normal. So it's all good, you know?
100%. Oh, man.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned it before about Go Big or Go Home. That's my favorite track on the album. Tell me, you told a little bit of the history on the title, but tell me a little bit more about how you came up with the melody and the storyline behind it.
Well, again, the storyline, you'd have to go again to Paul because I just wrote the chorus, lyrics, and melody. And then I had all the music, right? And I called Paul up and I said, I think I got something. And I, you know, of course, recorded the whole thing with, you know, demoed it all out, sent it to him with me singing, and he loved it. And he just filled in the blanks. So I think the impotence, excuse me, for the song was mainly like, you know, sports, winning, you know, victorious, you know, that whole thing. You know, go for it or get the hell out of the way, you know, that kind of thing. So Paul, you know, does this all day long. He writes for music and television and stuff like that. And so he's thrown into these kind of situations all the time. So for him, it was a pretty easy thing to do. He tends to, it's funny because as long as I've been writing with Paul, it's funny. I'll always say, hey, you know, maybe we should go to the left. And he always goes to the right. Lyrically, it's like no matter how much I say, well, but you know, my kind of idea was kind of go to the left, and he's like, no, I'm going to the right. That's the way I think about it. I'd say, okay, you know, you're the boss. Again, the great thing about the Defiants, especially the three of us, Rob and myself and Paul, is that we give each other room to do our own thing.
Right.
You know, I don't really step on Paul. He rarely steps on me unless he feels strongly about something. And with Rob, you know, Rob's like the little kid in the candy store. Like he just can't help himself. He's got to go bananas, you know, with the guitar stuff. Yeah. And I love that. I love that about him. I love that he has this like youthful, like, you know, exuberance when it comes to the guitar and playing, and you know, and so like I kind of, you know, there's a side of me that wants to, you know, put a leash on him and say, you know, I have to say, like, Rob, you're playing too fast. Or Rob, you know, don't forget, this is a ballad. Don't go crazy. Right. Like that. But on the other side, you know, I kind of have to, you know, check myself and say, hey, you know what? This is his band too. This is his record too. And, you know, everyone has to feel like they contribute or else it doesn't work. Ask any band that breaks up. So yeah.
It reminds me of Vinnie Vincent and Kiss. They had to pull him back. Hey, Yngwie, we don't need Yngwie on a Kiss album. Just pull it back a little bit. You know, we want the fantastic songwriting.
It's really hard because, look, in any family, in any relationship, there's always a dominant and a passive, right?
Right.
So it's hard when you're in a band when, if there's 4 or 5 people and everyone can't be an alpha,
Right.
so it's just hard to find that right balance and to find the right personalities. And I'm sure Vinny, is probably an alpha, and so are Paul and Gene. So there's a problem there.
That's a great point. Yeah. And you guys do have good chemistry. So
Oh, yeah.
I think it's great. I think my second favorite song as of right now is Hey Life. What a great positive message. What a great fun song. What a great song about thinking about just, hey, get out of my way. I'm ready. I'm
Yeah.
not, nothing's going to stop me. What a great song.
Oh, thanks. It's another one that I came up with the chorus for that, and again, I just that's from frustration, like getting older and dealing with elderly parents and dealing with family, and my studio here in New Jersey is in my house, so
Mhm.
with COVID and all of that, everyone's at home, and just as everything is just becoming such a hassle, like you said, travel is a hassle at going to the supermarket and trying to buy groceries is a hassle. So a lot of times I'm just like, oh God, I just wish my life would get the hell out of the way and I could have some fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the theme of that song.
No, that's great. I love that song. Very, very great song. Do you ever go back and pull old Danger Danger riffs or demos for the Defiance?
No, no. Everything that we do with the Defiance is new, and again, when Paul and I have a discussion and we decide that we're going to do another record, and we know that the clock is ticking, we kind of just go, okay, it's writing mode. So I literally just, I have the mindset that I have to just, be always thinking about grabbing ideas here and there and putting them down. And so everything is new. I'll come up with, I mean, I think for this song we had maybe 50 or 60 ideas.
Oh, wow.
And again, a lot of them, again, like I said before, everyone has to have their room for input and for, to put their creative 2 cents in. So it's not like I sit here and I try and write a complete song. I don't even bother because I want to hear what Paul's going to do. I want to hear what Rob's going to do. So I just basically, I'll come down to the studio and, if I have an idea and I'll just put them down. And then when I have like, say, 10 of them, I'll send them off to Paul. And then out of those 10, he might like 2 or 3. And then
Wow.
I'll call him up and say, well, why didn't you like the fourth? Because that's the one I really liked.
Yeah.
And he'll say, well, if you really like that one, then I'll work on it. And then it's funny because whenever I try and force an idea on Paul, it never comes out good. Never.
I get it.
I always have to let him kind of come up with do his thing, for lack of a better term. I have to let him do his thing. And it's funny because when I allow that to happen, he gets excited and therefore excites me, and everything just turns out a lot better.
No, that makes sense. That's all about the partnership, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
I gotta wonder, are there any Danger Danger songs that are in the vault, demos, completed songs that were never released for whatever reason that could see the light of day someday?
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few that we have. With Danger Danger, it's just always a challenge because of the dynamic between myself and Steve and Ted,
Yeah.
So there's just like, it's like, we're getting older, we're getting a little bit ornery, and so, all the things that were, kind of bad memories from days gone by in our relationships. Again, I mean, we get along fine when we're not dealing with business, or we're not dealing with, creative stuff. But like, even Steve and myself we're like best friends. I mean, he's like my brother from another mother, I speak to him
Mhm.
every day. And but there are things about him that make me want to, punch him in the face. Especially when we're trying to create, because he's very slow and he's very methodical and he's very, he's, he likes to be in control, and I like to be in control as well. And so there's a lot of dynamics there that make it difficult for us to get anything done. the only way we get things done is when I really say like, well, I'm going forward with it, regardless of what regardless of what you want to do. And so that's kind of the way it gets done with Danger Danger, at least lately. In the beginning, we were kids, everything was easy, we were excited. Now we're middle-aged men, and it's just a lot more difficult. And again, and with Ted, it's not so difficult, I mean, to get things done as far as like recording and stuff like that. Like he's available, but again, it's more just the dynamic of getting A, the business part of it together, and B, the creative stuff together. So we do have some songs left around, around that we might bring back. And Steve's always saying, hey, we should do a best of or a box set or this and
Right.
that. So you never know, we might. It's just again like hey, life, like it's just life gets in the way. So, I'll give you a quick story. It's just a typical
Yeah.
story, but Steve's probably going to hate me for saying this, but whatever. So we have all the t-shirt designs, Danger Danger t-shirts designs, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always saying, hey, there are guys out there bootlegging our t-shirts, and it's not like, there's like zillions of people buying Danger Danger t-shirts nowadays. But there are a few, and I always say, well, those are our designs. That's our band. Why shouldn't we, get the 3 cents or $3 from what we might, get from selling a T-shirt? Why should someone else get it? So I said, why don't we partner up with a T-shirt company, get all our designs to them, and just let them do everything, and we'll sit back and maybe we'll make enough money to pay an electric bill sometime, And so Steve's like, that's a great idea. And, I'm going to go find the designs for all the shirts, blah, blah, blah. Right. So that I think I went to him with that idea in the fall of 2019. And here we are 4 years later, and I don't have t-shirt designs up for sale. So
That's awesome. That's a great story.
That's Steve and myself in a nutshell.
That's a great story, and it's a testament to your friendship. It's like everybody's roles. Like, listen, I could talk to you on the phone about music. We could go out to have drinks and have a good time, but I can't work with you. But I love you anyway, and that's I have friends like that myself. So
I mean, absolutely, and I mean, I don't get me wrong, I can work with them, but at this stage in my life, I can't have any bullshit. It's like you want to write a song, you want to put a record out. Devote the time to it. Let's do it. Let's make a schedule. I don't have a lot of free time. I have, family to take care of. I'm like running around doing a lot of stuff. So it's like, if you want to do it and you're serious about it, then be serious about it and we'll get it done. Otherwise, then let's not do it and remain friends, like you said.
Yeah, I think you've answered my last question, but I'm still going to ask it anyway. From the earlier responses, will we ever see a tour from you guys, or to see you guys perform live?
The Defiants?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we, again, everyone always says, oh, well, I love the people on social media, like when you announce a tour, right? And for instance, you say you're playing in New Jersey, and then someone that lives in Connecticut will reply, oh, well, it's a little too far. I'm going to wait until you book a show near me. And I'm just like, I just laugh. I'm like, wow, get in your car and drive an hour to New Jersey if you really go, So again, the thing with the touring is that logistically it's a nightmare because again, Paul's in Canada, Rob's in Sweden. He's not coming to the States because he's got some immigration issues or whatever. And so we literally have to go to Europe to play, or we have to figure out his immigration issues and have him come over here. Right. So there's that. Then
that's a pain in the ass alone, right?
The whole thing is, again, okay, let's just put that aside. Everyone knows where I am. You could contact me if you really had to. So okay, so we want to do a tour. Where are we going to tour? That's number one. We could tour, we could do the, the Monsters of Rock cruise, or we could do the M3, or we could do the Frontiers Rock Festival, stuff like that, Sweden Rock, stuff in Europe, right?
Right.
These promoters know where I am. They know where, they contact us for Danger Danger. So again, I don't know if it's people in general just don't know where we are or how to get in touch with us, or if a promoter wanted to put together a small little run that they don't know how to get in touch with us. But it's just, the whole thing is just such a logistical nightmare that a lot of times, and again, in the end, I'm not a young man. Paul is, he's not as old as I am, but he's close. And so it's not easy to put this whole thing together. And so I always say this: if somebody wants us to play, hit me up. I'm up for it. I would do it if everything was right, meaning like if it all made sense. Again, are we going to be headlining a show? No, nobody knows who we are. We should be a support act. So, and again, doing all of this for the love of music at my age is a little bit, it's a big ask.
Yeah.
So I'd say, I'll put it this way: it's a long shot, but it's not, it's definitely doable. I mean, we were contacted to do the Frontiers Rock Festival, that unfortunately is not going to happen, but we were contacted to do it in Italy, and we were thinking about it, and the show never materialized. But again, we will do it if all the stars are aligned.
Right. And yet it has to be financially smart too. You can't go out there and say, I'm going to lose money to play a couple of shows, right?
That's the other thing. Like I've said this in other interviews, and it's like the thing that I hang my hat on, and I always say, musicians, for lack of a better term, are the dumbest people on the planet, because in general, because you go to the supermarket and you want to buy a gallon of milk, and it went up from $3 to now $6, right? But the price of going to see Eric Martin or the Danger or whoever stays the same. Now, why does it stay the same? Because the club owner doesn't want to raise his prices because he's afraid no one will show up. That's a valid point, okay? Or the club owner doesn't want to raise his ticket prices because he wants more people to drink at the bar, which he raised the prices of the drinks, by the way. Don't forget about that.
Of course.
So there's all of this bullshit that goes on with, doing gigs and playing. And so I always say, if the musicians would just band together, I mean, there is a music union, but unfortunately, union for musicians, but it doesn't work for local bands and for bands that aren't, huge, that can play theaters and arenas and festivals that can command whatever they want. Smaller bands always get the shit end of the stick, and so that's the problem. If I say this: if you go to a movie, what does it cost now to go to a movie?
It's like $15, $17 last time I was there.
$17. Okay, so you don't think that if you're going to see a band like the Defiants that never plays, and again, the people that would ever come to see us would be hardcore, you wouldn't spend $40 on a ticket to see us? I would. If I was going to see a band that I really loved, $40, that's dinner. You understand? Nowadays. So to spend $40 on a ticket, no. The promoters will we got to keep the price at $20 or else no one's going to show up. Well, you know what? That's the problem.
That's the parking pass to get in to go see Metallica, to pay for parking for it.
Metallica, you can't go see Metallica for less than $200.
Yeah, and you're up in the upper tiers. You're the stratosphere.
That's what I mean. So paying $40, even $50 to go see a lesser known band in a club or a local venue, I don't think is unreasonable. And unfortunately, I'm talking to a wall here, because nobody listens. No bands care, because they just want to get out there and play. And again, the younger bands, and when I say younger, I'm talking about bands that are, even in their 30s and 40s. Those guys just go, oh, well, we'll make it up on merch, or we'll make it up on album sales. Bullshit. You don't make it up on merch and album sales. Right, you walk home with no money. And so, it's tough for someone like me to wrap my head around that.
That's the cold, hard reality. Yes, I get it.
It is. And again, I hate saying this in interviews because I always sound like, negative Nancy. And I don't want to be that guy, but it's the truth. It really is.
It's reality. Well, Bruno, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I truly appreciate it. Incredibly insightful and fascinating interview. Thank you. And I have great memories of Danger, seeing you guys at Studio One in Newark and seeing you guys at Club Benet. And I used to work at the Bergen Mall in New Jersey, and I see you guys walking around with your Danger jackets on, and we're always saying hello and meeting fans. So that was great memories of you guys.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
I wish you the best.
And you too, man. Take
All
care.
right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Heavy metal
My
rock.
global mind.